welcome to Global Business. I am Imewere Uhemohai. Today we shall be looking at the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and we're looking at what next for Nigeria. Nigeria joined in June. Some people say rather late, but some people are already bothered. I mean, stakeholders are already bothered. What is Nigeria doing after that signing? President Muhammadu Buhari put his pen to paper in June. So what's Nigeria doing after that? We'll be investigating that today on the program. But first, we'll bring you a documentary on what the AfCFTA is about. That's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The documentary will tell you how it started and what it is supposed to do for the countries, especially African countries, that are going to be part of it. So sit back, relax as we bring you that documentary. After which, we'll have an interview from the Nigerian office, that's the Nigerian Trade Negotiation Office. We'll have Tola Onayemi, who is the head of trade remedies there, talking with us. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy Global Business just 1 week before Christmas.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Hello, I'm Chase. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Do have a blissful holiday.
Merry Christmas from me to you. Wishing you the compliments of the season. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Yeah, this is Mecca. I want to wish you a gift of love, joy, and peace in the season. You have a wonderful holiday.
Hi, my name is Andrew. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Peace on earth will stay when we live Christmas every day. Hello there, my name is Juliana, and this is to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Hello, my name is Mark Edo. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Hi there, I am Imewere Uhemohai. I want to thank you for being with us in 2019. We enjoyed every bit of it, especially our clients. Thank you for your patronage. Do it with us again in 2020. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Cinema Productions.
We are calling on everybody to think Africa, act Africa, and prosper Africa.
It comes down to the change of mindset.
I think this is an opportunity which Africa should not miss.
We are implementing the Africa we want.
A lot of the countries understand that this is good for them, that it is a game changer.
This is an historic moment for our continent.
So this is entirely African driven. These African countries are making a treaty among themselves.
We've been brought up with so many borders. You know, we have our little countries, we have our little economies, our little sectors. We have so many things that divide us, and I think this is an opportunity to really push against those boundaries and to change them.
As the old adage goes, there is strength in unity. For the 55 African Union member states, that strength lies in numbers. With a population of 1.2 billion and a GDP of $2.5 trillion, the prospect and now realization of a continental free trade area for Africa promises to usher in a new era of industrialization and business opportunities towards the realization of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want.
It has been a long journey, difficult and long, but we had visionaries. When we created the Organization of African Unit in 1963, President Nkrumah of Ghana made a clarion call: Africa must unite. In June 2015, the heads of state and government had an assembly in Johannesburg, and they adopted the principles for negotiations, the roadmap, as well as the institutions. And we had several rounds of negotiations. Then the regional communities came in to give technical inputs with other strategic partners, namely the African Development Bank, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. And the initial good results were established in December 2017. Then in January, we gave the report to the heads of state and government, and they were very impressed. They said the remaining work can be done in a short time, so let's have a signing ceremony on 21st March 2018 in Kigali. And we were able to produce the consolidated text that was signed today. It's composed of the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area and the protocol on trade in goods, the protocol on trade in services, and the protocol on the settlement of disputes. And this is where we are.
The African Continental Free Trade Area will affect the development of African countries by boosting employment opportunities, increasing food security, increasing competitiveness of African industrial products, and enhancing participation of the continent in global trade.
For us, the African Continental Free Trade Area, of course, it's a flagship project of Agenda 2063, but more than that, it's an instrument for solidarity, and it's an instrument for connection between African people and and basically dismantling the borders and the barriers that are there, because there are great opportunities for goods to move more efficiently, for services, as well as people. So I think that for us, it's a very important lever for achieving multiple objectives.
Well, what got us here is increasing realization that everywhere neighbors trade with neighbors. This is normal. What has been an anomaly for this continent is that since the 15th century, our trade has been directed primarily outside the continent. And that has to do with the way that Africa was inserted into the global economy. So this is what we are trying to reverse. So everything, our infrastructure has been built to support taking commodities from the interior to the ports and out to the north. So everything concerning trade has been organized around that external trade.
The CFTA negotiations have been complex, needing to take into consideration the individual interests of member states. Beyond the signing of the CFTA, individual countries will need to ratify the agreement.
There is supposed to be a process of ratification before the agreement can come into force. And for ratification, we need 22 member states to deposit their instruments of ratification, meaning that they have gone through their internal, local, national processes for accepting the documents. And then once we have 22 instruments of ratification, then that is when it now comes into force. The agreement that we are creating is not a mere declarative statement or a mere policy statement. It is actually a legal agreement that creates rights, obligations. So we think that at the end of the day, this is an agreement that will have some teeth. But I think beyond all that, there is a political commitment to see this done.
intra-African trade is one of the lowest of any region globally. The impact of the CFTA will mean Africa's industrial exports are able to diversify, encouraging a move away from extractive commodities such as oil and minerals. Economic integration for the continent will further provide harmony of customs, borders, and the movement of goods.
What this initiative is all about is to say to ourselves, okay, let's create a legal framework, let's establish a treaty so that there is certainty, because in trade, your business person wants to know that those goods that are going across are not going to be seized or discriminated against in some way. It will be a level playing field. And also our tariffs are relatively high. Over 6% is the average across the continent. To say we want to bring this down to zero, which is what they have agreed for 90% of products. And also to deal with non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff barriers like your roadblocks, your anti-trade behavior along the border, harassment at the border.
The flagship project of Agenda 2063 promises to be the world's largest free trade area. But what are the practical implications of having the CFTA implemented? And how exactly would an agreement of this magnitude revolutionize business and movement across Africa?
My mother was a small-scale trader after retiring from her teaching profession. So from very practical terms, having seen people like my mother, small traders, this will facilitate their movement, because alongside the signing of the CFTA, there are also member states, 27 member states, signed on to the free movement protocol, movement of persons. So cutting the red tape, knowing predictable tax regimes, common external tariff barriers. This gives them assurance, it gives them predictability, and it also gives them a sense that they have protections that are continental.
The most interesting thing to know about this kind of legal agreement is that in certain ways, it protects the little man the most. At the end of the day, for the small man, for the entrepreneur in Nigeria or some other country, the fact that there is a legal agreement that gives him rights as well as obligations actually makes it easier for that little or that young entrepreneur, that small SME company to take the right decisions, because you know that you are not going in on your own, you are going in with the entire legal framework of the African Union.
We have signaled to the world that we want to come together, and we do not want the Africans and the rest of the world to say the leaders made a grand celebration to sign the instruments, but they are not producing results. So we are focusing on tangible results, because this is what the ordinary Africans expect. And the business community is going to join us in the advocacy program. The parliamentarians are going to join us. The civil society organizations are also going on. So Africa at large is committed.
We have to basically galvanize all the stakeholders who are going to make this happen. It's not government that's going to trade. It's the private sector. It's the young entrepreneurs. It's the cross-border traders who are women, who are going to ask the question, who should be asking the question, so what does this mean for me? So implementation, I think, will be something that happens at different levels. It will be at the national level, where countries who are signatory to the agreement first of all engage stakeholders on how to go about this. And the other level is the regional level, because as we know, regional economic communities have been working with member states, also in terms of the regional blocks. And so that's another level of implementation.
In addition to the overall contribution to achieving Agenda 2063 and Agenda 2030, the average person can expect some tangible benefits on the ground from the implementation of the CFTA. Practical benefits for businesses, consumers, and trade are also on the cards.
My business is just to make those dresses for ladies, to design ladies and men. I want to make this thing bigger. I want to be there with my people, about 100 people. to bring material, it's a problem of taxes. They charge us money. If they say that no taxes, in fact, my business will go further.
I'm selling clothes. I bought them from South Africa, Dar es Salaam, Nairobi. When I'm bringing my goods back, yeah, we have problems because they ask us to pay. But if you don't want to pay, they take your goods. When you don't have all the money, you bribe.
First thing will be lack of common standard between countries, between neighboring countries. Like certain laws apply in Uganda do not apply in Congo, and that ends up causing a lot of delays. I give you for example, I can send a product from here to Kigali, which is fine, but if I try to send it to my client in Congo, the costs and delays. That in terms of drivers have to have visas, the permit to drive in, insurance, and the law differ. Whatever they like, they can apply, and we have to obey by it. And that sometimes end up pushing the cost higher, and also increasing delay. That means instead of truck doing 2 to 3 trips a month, you end up doing 1 trip. And then for you to accommodate those costs, you have to charge your customer high. Personally, I'm very happy to see something is being worked on this area because it's going to help us a lot in this sector.
The African Continental Free Trade Area represents a watershed for Africa in terms of trade and political relations. This seismic shift for the continent is all the more profound in the current global trend towards insular politics and isolationism.
Have you missed out on any of the editions of Global Business? Then what are you waiting for? Visit our YouTube channel, youtube.com/globalbusinessonAIT to catch up on all episodes of Global Business. Also, do follow us on Twitter at Ine Ohio and our Facebook page, Global Business on AIT, for more info on global business. You can also send us a mail, globalbusinessonAIT@gmail.com for feedback and inquiries.
Welcome to Talking Point, and we'll be talking still about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, AfCFTA, and we have Tola Onayemi, who is an international trade and investment lawyer. He's also the head of trade remedies and assistant chief negotiator of the Nigerian Office for Trade Negotiations. Tola, thank you very much for joining us. Okay, June 29, 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari signed that agreement finally, making us being part of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Since then, what has Nigeria been doing?
Now, what's happened since then is simple, is that a number of things. One is that the National Action Committee has been set up by the president, and what they do is, so there's this laundry list of recommendations. How do we then start to implement it? And so what the National Action Committee does is to work almost like a task force that works with all the agents and private sector players that have items to do in that laundry list of recommendations. So like I said, there's a laundry list of recommendations that covers everything you can think about: competitiveness, infrastructure, smuggling, border protection, policing, trade policy, harmonizing within ECOWAS, all that gamut of issues. And so what the Action Committee does is very simple, is go through that laundry list and work with all the sector players in that different list to ensure that those items are done. So that's one of the big deliverable points that's been done. Another thing that also has been done is that the second phase of negotiations have started. So since the first, what was signed was the agreement establishing the AfCFTA and the first phase of negotiations that covers goods, services, trade remedies, dispute settlement. But what we started now is that and even rules of origin. Now what we've done now is there's a second phase of negotiations where that covers investment, intellectual property, and competition. And negotiations of that have already started. In fact, as of today, the negotiations are actually ongoing on those gamut of issues.
Okay, let's talk about implementation. When is the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement going to start? I mean, real trading.
July 2020 is the earmarked date when trading is supposed to start within the AfCFTA. But of course, there's still conversation of what that looks like. So there's been several views to it. There's been a view that says, listen, at that July 2020, everybody drops to 90 and 10, meaning the 90 you liberalize goes into effect that day, And all that matters at this point is the 10% you're either in your exclusive or your sensitive list. That's a position that's been put forward. The second position that's been put forward is to say, listen, let's do it progressively so that we're dropping every other year. So those are some of the conversations of technicalities that are still ongoing of how exactly do you implement that direct. But the idea is that trading in the AfCFTA is supposed to start July 2020.
July 2020. How prepared is Nigeria for that date?
How prepared is Nigeria? Well, so the problem with that question is that it's best issued at the National Action Committee, right? Because that's the full gamut of their work. But I think the question of that question depends entirely on who you ask, right? Because like I said before, and I think this is what I need to say over and over and over again, and if that's the big lesson that comes out of this entire interview, that works, which is that, listen, the AfCFTA in itself is a framework. It's not good or bad, it's just a framework. And what makes it good or bad is dependent on the actions that players play based on it. So for instance, the AfCFTA simply means you have access to the entire African market. You have access to every country that has signed the AfCFTA. Finish.
Okay, quite recently, Minister of Finance and Budget and Planning said that Nigeria, or generally the West African sub-region, is not ready to adopt that single currency called the ECO. What does a single currency for West Africa mean to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement?
But the truth is, I think there's several conversations about what a single currency means for the AfCFTA. There are arguments that say that, oh, it's great to harmonize all our currency, it makes it easy to do balance of payments and currency conversions. There's a second side that says things like, listen, we have different fiscal regimes, we have different monetary policies, we have different fiscal policies, we have issues of countries that have not particularly sorted out issues of financial discipline. Do you want to tie everybody to one market? And you can already see some of those tests with the European Union euro, right? They've had to bail out a number of countries and so there's also that risk of saying, are we at the same level of similarity and standards in fiscal policy and monetary policy? Do we have that same fiscal discipline and monetary discipline to be able to harmonize currencies? I don't have the answer to that. The academics and the policymakers like myself will still keep having those conversations.
Thank you very much. Tola Onayemi, an international trade and investment lawyer, and of course, head of trade remedies and assistant chief negotiator for the Nigerian office for the trade negotiations. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Global Business continues.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Hello, I'm Chase. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Do have a blissful holiday.
Merry Christmas from me to you. Wishing you the compliments of the season. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Yeah, this is Mecca. I want to wish you a gift of love, joy, and peace in the season. Do have a wonderful holiday.
Hi, my name is Andrew. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Peace on earth will stay when we live Christmas every day. Hello there, my name is Juliana, and this is to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Hello, my name is Mark Edoho. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Hi there, I am Imewari Uyomokai. I want to thank you for being with us in 2019. We enjoyed every bit of it, especially our clients. Thank you for your patronage. Do it with us again in 2020. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Cinema Productions. Well, that's it on Global Business today. We want to thank you for being with us throughout 2019, through our ups and downs. We want to thank all our clients and prospective clients. We want to thank you for staying with us on the program. We want to thank the DAR team that has been with us, supported us. We want to specifically thank the executive producer, Tosin Dokpesi, and of course also thank Namure Edomioya, not forgetting Lawrence Igono and the team at DAR Communications. We also want to thank our cinema team for always being there. We will be there again next week to wish you a Merry Christmas, but it's never too late to even say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. For those of you who are already on holidays, please don't drink and drive, and be moderate in the whole holiday season. I'm Imewore Uhiamakai. Join us again for our Christmas edition of Global Business next week.